everyone. It is Tuesday. It is the beginning of our Zoom week. It is June. I can't believe the time is flying so fast. So beat the heat outside. Join us inside here on Zoom and learn about some great stuff. We've got a Zoom and Learn today with our friends at Total Hearing Care. We have Sherry Lynn Wiedemann with us, and she is going to be talking about a subject that was supposed to be talked about in the midst of our winter storm. We had to reschedule it. So this was the first we were able to get it in for a reschedule when that happened. So without further ado, Sherry Lynn, take it away. Unmute yourself, darling.
Okay. Hi. How's everybody? So today we're going to talk about kind of a different subject than we usually talk about. Usually it's hearing and associated and today it's going to be about balance. And although our vestibular or our balance system is related to our hearing system, they're related, they're together, they're not the same. But there's definitely some correlations. And one of the things that occurs as we get older and that we're going to look for is fall risk. And that's what we're actually going to be talking about today, is not actually hearing loss, but fall risk and its association with hearing loss.
Oop, Sherry, you are frozen.
So
there you are. You froze for a sec.
Oh, do we have the PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am. Here we go. Let me get this started from the beginning. And let me get back to the beginning. There we go. So.
Oh, here it is. Thank you. Okay. So everything that I talk about today, most of the references are here. And our goal today is to help everyone live independently, to help people live longer, and to increase their safety. Here's the scary part. 1 in 4 people over the age of 65 fall each year. So falls can be anything from, falling down and getting a bruise and getting back up. But those are not the falls that are reported. The falls that are reported and that are used in the statistics are the falls where people actually go into the emergency room or consult their physician. So of those people, of the major falls, it's 1 in 4 people. We don't know how many people actually fall at home, get up, move on. So these falls result in $50 billion in medical costs annually. This is what happens when your teenagers are at home and they're bored. $50 billion in costs. So not only do we have, the financial issues, but a much more serious issue is health. It results in visits to the ER, broken bones, traumatic brain injury, hospitalization, and of course, death. Falls are, when there's a major fall, it's usually the beginning of the end. And I'm sure that we all have known someone who fell down at home, entered the hospital, and that was the kind of the beginning.
Hey, Sherry, you're frozen again.
interest in this subject. But this can be a really serious issue. So, besides the actual fall, those who have had some minor falls or feel imbalanced and are nervous and afraid of falling tend to not leave their homes. And this limits their socialization. Being home, of course, now we're all a little more skilled at Zooming and Facebook, and at least have that that internet connection. But if we stay home, we don't see people, we don't talk to people, we don't have stimulation from in other places. That's also it leads to physical decline and emotional decline, depression, also isolation just causes not only depression, but that can start leading to dementia. So we need to be careful with that. Make sure that physically everyone's comfortable. And if they're alone at home and not physically comfortable, leaving to where they see other people, that maybe it's time to consider being somewhere where they're not alone, where they're more comfortable moving around and they do get that social stimulation. So here's our correlation between hearing loss and that fall risk. If you have a mild hearing loss, that triples your risk of fall. Mild hearing loss usually begins in 50s. That's average in your 50s to mid 50s. So we should have that audiogram in the slide after this. And yeah, here we go. So this is our audiogram. We talked about this last time with that speech banana, although this does not have a speech banana on it. But you can see at the top, 0 to 20 decibels is normal hearing. So anything above 20 decibels, from 20, is considered a mild hearing loss. So you would need at least 2 different frequencies in a range for it to be considered a hearing loss. So when they say mild hearing loss, they're looking at an average of at least 3 frequencies that are located in that range. Okay, normally it would be a low, a mid, and a high frequency. So like 500, 1,000, and 2,000 hertz. Those are considered your center frequencies, where you have one of each, a low, a mid, and a high. So in most people, as we get older, you have this slope like we're looking at here, where your low frequencies are in normal range, and then your mids would dip down, and then of course your higher frequencies, the louder the sound has to be. So most people do not have a flat,
Hey, Sherry, we've lost you again for signal.
Where that risk begins. And then your risk, this is key, your risk increases 140% for every 10 decibels your hearing loss increases. So it's a pretty steep increase.
So Sherry, real quick, I'm
Yes,
going to interrupt because you blipped
Sure.
out there for a second.
Okay.
Your risk of what increases?
Your risk for falling increases 140% for every 10 decibels of hearing loss.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Are you ready for the next slide?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There we go. There it is. Look, I didn't even have to ask. If I didn't move forward, I'd have seen it.
There it is. Okay. So what's the reason that hearing loss and fall risk are so closely correlated? One is the decrease in spatial awareness, and spatial awareness is where your body is located in space. There's less awareness of the sound of your environment. You're not hearing, let's say, the dog's nails on the floor as they come up and get underfoot. You're not hearing the difference between one, the wooden floor and the marble floor. You're not hearing water drip if there's a leak in the ceiling, and so there could be a puddle on the floor, and you're not hearing that. You're not aware of that. Hearing loss also occupies the brain. When you have a hearing loss, you spend so much effort, especially when you're communicating with people. You spend so much effort trying to understand what they're saying that your brain doesn't have time and doesn't have the space for anything else. So you get tired. You're using all of your brain's resources on understanding. Okay. So one of the things that we need to do is maintain balance, and that depends upon the brain's receipt of the correct sensory information. So you get this from 3 different inputs. One is your visual. The second is your vestibular or your balance system. And the third is proprioceptive input. Proprioceptive is how the floor feels. Are we on an incline? What is our body telling us about where it is and where it's located? So breaking it down, if you have visual impairment, if you have hearing loss, put that together and you're going to have some amount of a balance disorder. This becomes more complex as we add proprioceptive input. So people with diabetes, peripheral neuropathy, proprioceptive disorders, anything that causes proprioceptive disorders, central disorders, loss of muscle mass, which occurs as we get older. So one of the most common conditions that causes dizziness in elderly patients, actually in 42% of elderly patients, is called Bppv. It's benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. But it's only benign when you don't have it. Bppv is caused by the little canalith stones, which are located in the utricle of our balance system. So those stones help us identify gravity so that we know where our body is balanced. Okay, so we know where we are, what's up, what's down. As we get older, the glue that holds those little stones together, it gets a little looser. And some of those stones can be released and it falls into our, generally it's the posterior semicircular canal. So, you've got 3 of these little canals, they're shaped like this, and liquid moves in those canals and it tells our brain where we are, which direction we're moving, what's up, what's down. When these little stones get loose, they fall into those canals. And you can think about like water moving seaweed. That's normally what happens. But then rocks hitting that seaweed, it's going to give a severe reaction. So Bppv makes you very dizzy suddenly. It doesn't last very long. It usually lasts less than a minute, rarely longer than that, but it can be severe. So normally, since it's our posterior semicircular let me try that again. Since our posterior semicircular canal, you'll feel this when you lay down in bed or when you get up in bed. So sit up in bed and suddenly you're dizzy. but it might not hit you suddenly. So if you get up in the middle of the night, it's dark, you need to walk into the bathroom, you're sitting up. If you stand up right away, it's dark, so you're not getting visual cues, and your vestibular system is thrown off a little bit. It's really easy to fall. And that can happen when you're also walking back to your bed. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but Bppv is one of the major causes of dizziness and one of the things that we need to look out for. It doesn't always have to be really severe. Some of these canaliths can, it's normal for them to break off a little bit, and they'll be reabsorbed back into your body. So it doesn't have to cause a severe reaction. You can get a slight imbalance there, and you'd never even notice that was what was happening. So we're ready to go on. How can we prevent falls? We know that it's a possibility. We know the severity of falls. So what small things can we do to prevent this? And of course, this is not a complete list, but it's a few suggestions. One of them is, and a major one, is build muscles. So Tai Chi is really big. Tai Chi will help build physical strength. And then yoga, of course. Yoga would be the next slide. And yoga is not only addresses strength, but flexibility and proprioception. And there's even chair yoga. So if you're not steady on your feet and you're not comfortable, people of any age can do chair yoga. So it's a great place to start. And anybody know who this is? So weight training is also an excellent way to strengthen your body. I worked for an ENT, and every time he saw a dizzy patient, he would send them off for weight training. So it's when you are imbalanced, it's important to have the strength in your body to catch yourself and to stabilize yourself. So that's why weight training. So of course, you want to start to speak with your doctor before starting any exercise program. Then other thing you want to do is correct any sensory decline, glasses, hearing aids. The next one is a walking stick. You'll all be happy to know that Ralph Lauren has officially made walking sticks cool. So very fashionable coming up. So everyone should have a walking stick. I remember having a patient who fought getting a walking stick for a long time, and her friend was with her. And she looked at her and said, walking stick doesn't make you look old. Carrying a walking stick has nothing to do with pride. It has to do with insurance. So just having that extra insurance to stabilize you when you need it can help reduce a fall. Especially if you're away from home, you're not familiar, you're walking outside, you don't know if there are cracks in the sidewalk, you don't know what to expect. It's always nice to have that extra insurance. So you want to remove obstacles. Throw rugs are a big one. It's easy to trip on the edge of a throw rug, especially if they're not adhered to the floor. You want to make sure if you have a throw rug, you have it adhered. So it doesn't slip and move. It's easy to mark steps with LED lights now because they're rechargeable, they're battery operated, they can be attached to the electric in your house. There's all kinds of options, and it will just give you an extra heads up, especially if you're walking around in the dark, going into the kitchen at night, that there is a step there to be aware of. You want to make sure, for the same reason, that your room has adequate lighting. Have night lights to give you a path to the kitchen and a path to your bathroom. really important, very inexpensive. They don't even have to use light bulbs anymore because of the LEDs, so they don't put out heat. And you want to be prepared in case of a fall. Give a trusted neighbor a key to your house and all of your emergency contact information. Alexa. Most people should have Alexa or a similar type of device in their home, or a call service where you can push a button and emergency services would come. I told you I would tell you about my father-in-law. My father-in-law was lived alone in his home, and none of the family was comfortable with that, but it's really what he wanted, and of course we had to respect his wishes. We were all really sorry that we didn't think of having an Alexa or that type of device in his home. He didn't want to wear a button. He fell in his home and he could not get to the phone. So he was on the ground for 7 hours before he was found. And like most older people who have a severe fall like that, it was the beginning of his decline. And so that's what started my interest in fall risk. If he had had an Alexa, he could have said, Alexa, call 911, call emergency services, call my daughter, call my son. So it would have been much, much easier for him in that sad situation. You always want to keep your cell phone on you. Your cell phone doesn't help you if you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and it's by your nightstand charging. So if you do get up, you first of all want to sit up on the side of the bed for a moment, just in case there is some Bppv there. You'll give it time to settle. So never just stand up right away. Sit up to the side of your bed, give it a moment, reach over for your cell phone, put it in your pocket, put it around your neck, and then you can stand up and walk to the bathroom. Should something happen, you would have your cell phone with you and you can call emergency services. Apple Watch, and there are other smart devices that have it as well. If you fall, it will identify that you've fallen and you can set it up to contact either emergency services or a family member. So if you do fall and let's say you're knocked out and you can't call someone, emergency services are alerted. And then if your neighbor has a key, then they'll be able to get in much easier. So that is my presentation for today. If anybody has any questions that I can answer, I'm happy to.
So if you guys have any questions about today's presentation, please feel free to put it in chat. I can definitely attest to the fact, because, you know, I joked with you guys about how I fell down the stairs not too long ago. And man, I don't like going down the stairs now. I make sure all the lights are on and I'm really taking my time, because I remember about that fall and how it could have been a lot worse than it was. But definitely is some truth to that. I don't see anything coming up in chat. No questions, guys. I mean, that was pretty straightforward. Most definitely pretty straightforward and great information to have. But oh, wait, Glenda, wait. Okay, I'm waiting. I love that. Wait. Got it. Waiting. I can just keep jibber jabbering away while we
having keyless entries is great too. You're right. Great suggestion. Thank you, Glenda.
Yeah, most definitely. Smart 911. I don't know what that is.
I haven't heard of that either. That's good. I'll have to look that one up.
Interesting. Wait, did I just hang on? What am I doing here? I don't know. Yeah, Smart 911. That is interesting. And there are places. Sorry, Roy, I accidentally spotlit you there for a second. There are also a lot of places. So one of the, if you go in the magazine, we have someone too that has smart devices that can help you with falls and things like that, and kind of help
Yeah.
monitor the area, which is really smart. But yes, there is definitely a correlation to hearing loss and falls. And, you know, I've experienced vertigo a couple times in my life, and it's not fun. It's like, it was a Saturday morning. I was at a church doing an event, and I'm walking around going, hey, wow, if I didn't know better, I'd say I was drunk, because it felt that way when I was walking. Like, it felt like there were dips in the floor where there shouldn't be dips in the floor. And it was a very interesting experience. So, all right, guys. Well, as always, Sherry Lynn is here to help you out however you need. You can reach her. She is at the Coit and Campbell location, correct? Is that right, Sherry?
Right. I'm at the
And
Campbell location in Abrams.
yep, and the website is totalhearingcare.com. Sherry Lynn is also the one who is facilitating our free hearing screenings here at the spot, and our next one is coming up at the end of July, and that is July 29th. So if you have any concerns about hearing loss, or if you need dome changes, cleanings, anything like that, they can do some small, simple maintenance and check your hearing aids for you, make sure everything's functioning properly. You can call us here at the office to schedule your appointment for that. 100% free, like I said, and Sherry Lynn is the audiologist that is here to conduct those services for you. So thank you, Sherry Lynn Wiederman, for joining us today. I really
Thank you for having
appreciate
me.
it. Of course. Thank you guys so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And